Good evening, race fans. I'm Part here with Black Flag Racing TV, and it is the finale of the GR4 lottery. What a tournament this has been. 15 cars were stuck on a wheel right at the beginning and doled out one by one. Halfway through, a few people binned the cars, most stuck with them, and we have got through 10 rounds of wheel-to-wheel action in this GR4 lottery. We've learned a few things during this tournament. One thing we've learned is that we've got too many cars involved, but other than that, it's been a really, really good, fun tournament, and we've had some pretty sizable lobbies throughout this race series as well. Here's hoping that season 2 of the GR4 lottery will be bigger and better than last season. So this week is the finale. Kevin, of course, has won the championship, as you can see there. He is the champion. We've dropped the worst result they've had so far. We dropped it, basically it's the best 8 out of 10 rounds. We've already dropped the worst result from the points total. The next worst will be dropped after this round. Whatever happens, Kevin is series champion. Congratulations. To be fair, he had it sewn up about a month ago. But he is the reigning champion. but still all to play for the top three. Avalon just 3 points clear of Stormfly in the Alpha 155. Sitting in second at the moment, Stormfly in the Dodge Viper. He was one of those that swapped out his car at the end of round 5, got a new car, and he has improved since. Only managed to match his first week's performance though, is his best, but it's been generally better since he's had the Viper. So just 3 points back, but remember we've still got to drop another pole round for everybody, so that could mix things up, especially when you consider that Stormfly's next worst round is a 48 point or 44 pointer, assuming of course that he doesn't do worse today. And Avalon's is only a 30 odd point, a 32 pointer in round 8, so still all to play for there. However, Aussie just 60 points outside that top 3 with a maximum 75 points available, could still sneak in depending on results. TJ, I don't think TJ's racing tonight. He's dropped out for a little while. He will probably, or maybe he might do. I suppose it depends. Wiggy has had 2 cars he hated. He had the Atenza to start off with, hated that car, dropped it at round 5, and then has got really unlucky and got the Suzuki Swift. Performances haven't been too bad in the Swift. I mean, they've been worse, let's put it that way. He can potentially take that Swift into the top 5 today, though. Fubar jumped in late, took over a car from somebody else, and has put in increasingly better performances. He also could potentially jump up a space and move Wiggy down the order. PM10's not racing, so PM10 might lose a couple of places if GMAC does arrive, of course. If not, I don't know if US Sausage is coming. I don't think he is. He's missed a few weeks of this. But Grizz is back in the feather, so he could nick a couple of, or maybe nick a place at least, depending on how everybody else fares. We've got Jay back with us. I did see him briefly, so it's good to see him racing again. Jay is currently sitting in 15th, missed a lot of rounds because of work, but we'll drop another one of those 0 rounds. We'll pick up some points today and might jump Nick. Nick, we've lost today, he's not very well. Manx jumped in very, very late in the tournament. He's already on 68 points, but Jay is not far behind. Certainly a lot of movement potential. So in about 8 minutes or so, we will have the 1 hot lap qualifying. Simple format. You do 1 out lap, you do 1 hot lap. That's your time. We have 3 30-minute races here. The first 2 are normal grid start, full star check. The third race is a reverse grid, slowest first type scenario. And now we have a qualifying ability in the game. We will have a slight change to the qualifying format for season 2, because now we can set grid. So I'll put it to a vote, but I quite like the idea of a reverse grid, a reverse championship grid, just to mix things up a little bit. But the cars will be different and the settings will be different and all sorts. So, but we'll talk more about that later. So, in terms of track today, where are we? This is where we are with Fuji Speedway. Not quite the full version. We have no turns 11, no turns 12. It is the short version. Instead of 2.83 miles, it's 2.81 mile. Literally nothing. No difference at all. There's literally 2 corners missing. And it is the chicane. And to be honest, I think everyone's so used to doing that chicane at turns 10, 11, 12 that I reckon there's going to be 1 or 2 little accidents in there, as people forget that they just go straight on rather than turn left again. But it takes it down from 16 to 14 turns. Let's have a quick look at the track, shall we? Just in case you're wondering, I didn't do this lap, that's why it looks so quick. So obviously it's all about exit off that final corner, because you want to get on the power as quickly as possible. Head down this straight, ideally with a bit of slipstream if you're not first, of course. Your braking zone is on your left hand side coming up. We see these chevrons, that's when you change it down. Get it turned in, clip the apex, and you want to get on the power using all the road. You can really abuse that there, to be fair. Then up under the Audi Sport sign, drifting to the right hand side. It's not a massive braking zone here, it's a dab really more than anything else. Change down just to get the turn in, and then back on the power again using all of those rumble strips. There's a little lift coming through here because it's quite a tight, the turn sort of tightens up as you go through it. And then you are to the right hand side, big braking zone here, down into second gear, get that rotation, then back on the power, again using as much of the road as you dare without crossing that white line, of course. This is flat out all the way up the hill, clipping both apexes if you can. This is where the track differs from the full track. Normally you would turn right here into that little chicane you see on your right hand side, but you don't make the full turn. And then up into this. This is a very tricky section here, to be fair. Well, it is for me, not for most people. And then you're up and then back down in the gears, 2 seconds, apex again on the power. And straight away you want the car drifting all the way up to that left hand side, and this is probably the most important corner on the racetrack. Get it turned in so you can get on the power nice and early, and that essentially is that is your lap around the Fuji Speedway. What more could you possibly want to see? So there you go. That is it, done, dusted. It is 2.81 miles, it is 14 turns. The weather is absolutely fine. 2 tyre compounds required this evening. At the moment we've got 9 in the lobby. I was quite hoping we'd have there or thereabouts, almost full lobby for this evening, but it doesn't look like we do. But some of the big runners are in there. Stormfly's in there, Stargroot's in there, Kevin the Champion is in there, Manx Man, he's put in some really good performances. Aussie Rooster there. Fubar as well, also put in some good performances. Gridge Troopers and Jay have someone to race with. And of course, Avalon, currently sitting second in the championship, is there. It doesn't look like we've got GMAC, but we are ready to start qualifying very, very soon. So let's get in, I think, and have a look. I think we will in a second. We'll just wait for qualifying to start. So 1 minute to qualifying is the message, is the scores on the doors. We'll have another quick look at the standings before we get cracking. I think that's a good idea. So that's where we stand. Everyone knows what they need to do. In terms of people in the room, Stormfly is looking for a very strong performance. He's going to need to beat Avalon by quite a few places in every race, as far as I'm aware, doing the math. He's only 3 points behind, but remember, they've both got to drop another round just yet. And in terms of amount of points dropped, assuming they both get more than the 44 points, let's assume, let's base it on last week's points. If they get similar points to the points they got last week, then Stormfly's going to need to finish significantly. He's going to need to get about 12 points more than Avalon this week. Last week he only got 1, so he needs 12 points more than Avalon to draw level, because bear in mind they both drop 1 round. So all to play for, all to do. Qualifying is starting, so let's get out there and see what is occurring. So all jumping out there, all ready to go. I'm getting a bit annoyed with this race BGM staying on board during qualifying. Need to get rid of that. I have turned it off, I don't know why it plays. So all on their outlet, they're all very close to each other. I'll tell you what, I'll tell you why they're doing this. They're all going to be vying for some slipstream. That's what they want. They want some slipstream on that straight to give them the best possible advantage. And these are the two to really watch today, Stormfly and Avalon. These two have got a big battle going on between them. And it's one that's going to rage on throughout the race. Stormfly with a lot of work to do in order to close the gap, essentially. I will do, as soon as this race is finished, I will do the leaderboard as quickly as I possibly can. I might try and update it as much as I can in between races. It's not necessarily that easy to do, of course. It does take a little bit of time. But these are the two to watch. Kevin's already champion. All we need to know about him is he's going to be quick, and he's probably going to win every race. Star Group, he is vying to get that Suzuki Swift into the top 5. Manxman, he's looking to prove a point in that Citroen, and I'll tell you what, that Citroen's been relatively quick for him. Star Group is going to rely heavily on some form of slipstream down this straight on every single lap to keep him in the mix. There's Jay, he's in the AMG Mercedes. Really, really cool car there. Hopefully a good performance from him today. Him and Grizz Trooper should have a good little battle going on. Aussie Rooster, he's still within a chance of that top 3, but he will need to have, I think he'll need to win all 3 races and hope that Avalon and Stormfly finish like 8th and 9th or something. It's a ridiculous scenario. It's almost as ridiculous as anyone expecting Wales to beat England 4-0 and Iran to beat the USA tomorrow. There we go. So, hot lap time. Stormfly out in front in the Viper. Avalon's got a penalty. That's going to really hurt his hot lap. Really, really hurt it, because he's going to take a penalty at the end of this. So that's going to push him right down the order, because it's such a horrible place to have a penalty as well. Such a horrible place. So no slipstream for him either. And he's got a half-second penalty to serve. And you'll see just how much time it costs you on this straight. So we go, Stormfly into the final turn, onto the power, and down. That's where the penalty line is. You're just getting up to speed, just getting into 5th gear, and then boom, you get slowed down like that. And we'll see Kevin almost catching him. So, first time on the board, a 1:35.7 for Stormfly. Avalon can only do 1:38.9. That really cost him. Kevin with a 1:36.1. Doesn't get pole. He won't be too, no, I say he won't be too bothered. He's champion, but he will still be bothered. Absolutely, he'll be bothered by that. Fubar comes in second row, 1:37.1. He's got Aussie Rooster alongside with a 1:37.3. Grizz Troopers, 1:39.4. Star Group, I didn't see where he came in, but he jumped straight in the pits to change out his tyres. Manx with a 1:40.5. So, despite the straight line speed in that Citroen, he didn't get a good lap round the corners. And Jay with a 41.9. He's probably had the least amount of practice for anyone in here, because he's only done a few of the races. So there we go, there's your lineup. Stormfly on pole position with Kevin just alongside him. Fubar, then Aussie, Avalon, Grizz Troopers, Star Group, Manxman. I'm not sure Star Group is, I think he might be further up actually. No, he is in the right position, so I have actually sorted out the correct positionings now. So Star Group in 7th. He is on row 4 alongside Manxman, and Jay brings up the rear in 9th place. I'm really disappointed this last race didn't attract a crowd like we had. We had a decent crowd last week. I can't remember how many it was, but it was certainly more. I think we had 11 last week, so that's to be fair, it's not that few. But we would like to start seeing some bigger lobbies. We've got more drivers in now. We just need these drivers to be getting involved. So, any changes? It's basically one hot lap, but they're all doing an extra lap anyway, which necessarily isn't really the kind of spirit of the hot lap, really, is it? But they're all doing an extra lap anyway. So, Stormfly on pole, Kevin second. They all did an extra lap. Avalon third, that was a 36.5, did improve. Aussie Rooster drops down one spot, 36.9. Fubar with a 30, don't know what his time was, it doesn't say. Manxman in 6th, 39.0. Grizz Troopers 39.4. Jay with a 40.4. Don't know what Star Group's time was, but I'm assuming he was. He can't have been slower than Jay, surely. It looks like he was, though. But he, in the spirit of things, did one hot lap. So technically, he should be on pole. And Stormfly has disappeared. So lots of bugs in the lobby since the update. There's been quite a few bugs in the lobby. And that is a ghost car. There is definitely, I guarantee you 100%, there is definitely a car underneath where it says Stormfly. We'll see what happens when the race starts. But we are done, so it's time just to start the race. I mean, I don't know if that's because we've got a bug here and it's causing problems. What we do know is that there is a bug on Spa, which is why the Mind race, as you know, we're doing a charity event for Minds, 3-hour endurance races, emulate 24 hours. We have moved the Spa race, which is due to be next week, to the following week, and we're moving forward Mount Panorama because Spa has a bug in it. So there is your lineup: Stormfly from Kevin front row, Avalon and Aussie row 2, Fubar and Manx on row 3, Grizz Troopers and Jay on row 4, and row 5 is Star Groot. But he, in the spirit of doing it correctly, only actually did the one hot lap. So qualifying done, time for the race to start. And that will be very, very soon, I would expect. There we go, race beginning shortly. And I can't jump in until the race actually starts, which is really frustrating. So they fixed some things, but broke some others. But let's face it, it's still better than it was last week. So we get in there, and let's not jump in onto anyone just yet. We'll wait for the lights to go out. There's 3 lights, 4, 5, and we are away. And it looks like everyone's away cleanly. No one getting bogged down to start with. Stormfly holds the lead off from Aussie Rooster. Aussie Rooster jumps up into second. He's obviously found a really good tune for himself there. So it is Stormfly from Aussie Rooster. Fubar up to 3rd place. Manxman up to 4th. That's a big jump from him. Kevin did get bogged down a little bit with the start because he's down in 5th. Avalon in 6th place. He does not want to see Stormfly that far ahead of him. That is not good for his championship hopes, or certainly for finishing 2nd in the championship. So a bit of work for Avalon to do at this stage. Already moves up though past Star Groot, now up into 6th. Star Groot side by side with Grizz Troopers at the moment. Grizz Troopers the inside line in that Ferrari, doesn't make it stick, and already finding himself under. He's going to find himself under pressure soon from Jay, and there is Jay, just 1 second back. But at the moment, Aussie and Stormfly disappearing off up into the distance. That's the Dodge Viper of Stormfly, just 3/10 ahead of Aussie Rooster. And Aussie Rooster now is going to have a bit of slipstream very, very soon. And this will be interesting to see if he can close up on Stormfly with that. So, mediums for Stormfly, softs for Aussie Rooster, mediums for Fubar. We'll have a look at everybody else in a sec, because I just want to see how strong this is going to be. And a bit of a wobble from the Viper in front. Does that give Aussie the impetus he needs? He's on the soft tyres. Can he use that power to close up? The gap is closing, but it's only closing very, very slowly. Is he going to have enough grip into turn 1 to make the move? If he needs to be a little bit closer, if he's going to make this happen, he is starting to really close in now as it gets towards the end of the straight. Changing down, he has to tuck in behind, not close enough to make the move up the inside. But being on those softer compound tyres, there's certainly going to be another option for him, or another chance for him, maybe later on down the line. Already 2.4 seconds back to Fubar. He's also started on the medium tyres in that WRX. And that gap to Kevin, 2.7 seconds. So Kevin in the Cayman, currently outside the top 3. But trust me, it won't stay that way. It never does. Avalon's moved up to 5th place, 1.4 seconds behind Kevin. And he's got Star Groot behind him with a half a second penalty. He is currently ahead of Grizz Troopers, but that penalty should see Grizz Troopers make the move. And Grizz Troopers in that Ferrari should be a little bit quicker. Now, Manxman clearly had a problem because he's way down in 9th place. And he was there or thereabouts in the middle of that pack. So, not worked out too well for him on lap number 1. Or lap number 2, should I say. Because it looks like that's where he's had the problem. Jay is still just hanging off the back of Star Group. Grizz Troopers has gone through in that Ferrari. Is Jay going to have an opportunity to make an attack on him with the slipstream? That Tommy Tippy car is really going to struggle around here. It hasn't got the straight line speed. It did okay last week at the Deep Forest Raceway in reverse, but I think this week he's going to struggle with that straight line speed down this straight. But at least we know he doesn't have to drive it again after today. So he's much, much closer. He gets though Star Group does get a better exit, but the power of the AMG, look at the power in the AMG, absolutely breezes past him without too much effort at all. And that's the view from behind. It's a sobering view. What about Manx? Is he close enough? Not this time out. As the Aussie Rooster has made the move on Stormfly up into the lead of this race. Bear in mind though, he is on those racing soft tyres. He does have the fastest lap with a 36.8, but he's on the racing soft tyres and will have to pit sooner. Anyone else running softs? Well, Stargroup is, and Jay is not. Grizz Troopers is, so that will explain why Grizz Troopers are a little bit faster in the Fezzer at this stage. Avalon, Kevin, Fubar and Stormfly all running the medium compound tyres at this stage. So in order for this to work for Aussie, he really needs to stay off the grass for a start, and that's a coming together. That's a racing incident. The pair of them come together. Nothing they could have done about that. That was full on a racing incident, and that allows Fubar up into the lead of this race. But Stormfly does keep the Viper running, and the Viper now in making a challenge on Fubar back into the lead. So that promotes Kevin to third, Avalon to fourth, Grizz Troopers up to fifth. Aussie Rooster returns to the racetrack in sixth place. He just got on the grass and couldn't keep the car under control. Lost the back end of that Huracan. And him and Stormfly had a little coming together. Twice they came together. And there's nothing you can do about a racing incident all day long. No one's at fault there. It is what it is. But that changes it all out front. So the gap that he had over Fubar has gone. That WRX is nice and close. Kevin is nice and close as well. So the expectation was going to be that there would be a good little battle going on between Aussie and Stormfly. But now Aussie can't capitalise on that lead because he's down in sixth place. So that game plan for race number one, boom, gone, done, dusted, out the window. New plan, please, new plan. He'll have to wipe himself off, get himself up the order as far as he can, and start again. But that's a big blow for Aussie Rooster and his drive to reach that top three. Being ahead of Stormfly at that stage, if the race had finished like that, that would have done him no harm at all. So, lap number 4, we are 5 minutes in. It's 30 minutes here at Fuji short track. And I don't know why they call it short track. It is literally 0.2 of a mile, not even that, 0.02 of a mile shorter than the long track. So it's just Fuji without a chicane. But Stormfly now, 1.4 seconds is his gap, 1.5, and opening. He's not going to be giving up any slipstream. Kevin is now through in second place. Can he start closing the gap on Stormfly? Remember, he is already champion. It doesn't matter where he finishes. He could literally rage quit. Rage quit, he would get penalties, but he could literally just say, can't be asked, and drive very slowly. He could drive around in reverse, come last, and he would still win this championship. He's running currently 1.8 seconds behind. He has got Fubar bearing down on him with that slipstream. It is so strong here, the toe. Really does give you a massive, massive benefit over the car in front. Avalon's closed that gap. He's up into fourth now. He's closer to Stormfly, which he'll be very happy to see. His target at the moment is Fubar. He knows Kevin's going to be hard to catch. He knows that the straight line speed in that Alpha, it's going to so basically this Alpha will be very strong from turn 1 all the way around to turn 14, and then it will be lacking to all the other cars. It really relies on the slipstream there. It doesn't have that top end straight line speed that some of these other cars have. Grizz Troopers up to 5th place and 4.1 seconds ahead of Aussie Rooster at this stage. We know Aussie Rooster had that coming together. He's going to be pitting, I think, at the end of this lap number 5, and he cost himself 12 seconds in that little spin. Jay is up to 7th place on the medium tyres. He is 2.7 seconds behind Aussie Rooster. I remember he's going to be running longer, so he will be able to make a little gap, and I think medium tyres might have been the way forward. Has he got a screw fix, have got on the front of that car? can't see it properly. I'll have a look in a minute. Manxman didn't have a great start and found himself way down the order back in 9th place. He has moved up one because Stargroup has been in the pits already. He's now on the medium compound tyres in the Suzuki Swift. But that car is really, really going to struggle around here today. I'd be very surprised if he's not racing around probably with Jay and Grizz Troopers today. Just the straight line speed just doesn't have it there. Aussie Rooster's into the pits now. Can Stargroup get round and through? If he does, this is going to be very, very costly for Aussie Rooster in that Huracan. There's your leader, 2.5 clear of Kevin, doing a very, very sterling job, and he is absolutely gunning for it. Avalon has made his way up into the top 3. That's music to his ears, because he just needs to stay within touching distance of Stormfly. That's all he needs to do. He doesn't even, I mean, if he beats him, great. Stormfly definitely can't catch him. But as long as he stays in touching distance of him and negates the, I think it's about 12 or 13 point difference that there will be once we take off the other lowest scoring round. He's got a little bit of a benefit in that respect. So we'll see how it works out for him. But he just needs, the position he's in now, if he finishes this far behind Stormfly in the 3 races, it should be enough to guarantee that he wins or keeps second place. He won't win the championship, of course, because that is down to Kevin. So the current top 3 in the race are the current top 3 on the leaderboard. Fubar, just 2.2 seconds outside that top 3 in the WRX. He's on the medium tyres. How are they holding out to the others? Well, Avalon's tyres looking very, very good in that Alpha 155. He's done a really good job of looking after them, as has Kevin. Stormfly, not so much so. So actually, this could still fall into his hands, because the tyres on that Viper, particularly the front left tyre, which takes a hammering around here, to be fair, because there's a lot of right-hand corners. It's not looking great, so going to be a couple of laps. I think possibly. I said it was 2 compounds required, didn't I? I lied. I don't think it is. I think it's any compound, and I don't know why it's 2 compounds. It's not 2 compounds required. They can use any tyres that they wish. So Grizz Troopers into the pits. That will see Stargroup come through, I think, and Aussie Rooster. Stargroup is through. Where's Aussie Rooster? Aussie Rooster is on the straight too, and through he comes. But Aussie Rooster was 45 seconds adrift. Really, really costly. That spin for him has been incredibly costly, because it put him well out of position on the track, and it put him in a position where he was on the wrong tyres really for that part of the racetrack. So a very costly mistake for Aussie in race number 1. The gap is down to 2 seconds, half a second difference now, as we see Avalon starting to close the gap now on Kevin. He's got it down to half a second, and if he can use this slipstream here behind that Cayman, and that was a great exit from him, absolutely coming up behind Kevin. He's going to make the move here. Can he close the gap on Stormfly as well? Because that would be a devastating lap from Stormfly. So Avalon is through. There is the Cayman of Kevin. It is starting to come back at him with a top end speed. We knew this was going to be a problem. The top end speed of the Alpha just tops out so low, but he's got the inside line. Does he maintain the inside line? He does retain second place briefly. Kevin back ahead though. This is a really, really good race from these two, and we're going to see this, I think, throughout. And Avalon back ahead, and Kevin just has to back off on those brakes. He did carry a bit more speed through there, but was behind Avalon and had to risk not catching the back of him. So, change at the front. Avalon is now 1.9 seconds back in second place. He's going to have a very, very racy Porsche Cayman in not only in his mirror, but in his slipstream when it comes to the long straight here at Fuji. And we've seen just how devastatingly good it is. You know, we've got a Porsche Cayman with a very good top end. We've got an Alpha 155 with a not so great top end, and even with once you come out of the slipstream in an Alpha, the pace really drops off in comparison to the other cars. Maybe it might be worth tweaking those engine modes a little bit for this race. So, fastest lap of the race is still with Aussie Rooster, and that spin just shows how devastating that spin was for him, because he's got a 36.8 as his fastest lap. The gap to Stormfly closing right down now. It's just over a second. So Avalon's not getting any slipstream. And I think Stormfly's going to pull into the pits here. Is Avalon going to follow him? Well, he's certainly following him for the slipstream. Then he pulls out. Very smart there to stay in that slipstream as long as he possibly could. He's going to have that Porsche Cayman bearing down on him now. We can see that the slipstream that Avalon picked up from the Dodge Viper of Stormfly was so important because it kept him ahead into turn 1 here on lap 9. These two are going to hang it out for at least a few more laps. They're certainly one stopping this race, and I think one stopping seems to be the quicker way to do these GR4 races. Unfortunately, some people can't help it. They have to stop it. There's nothing they can do about it. It's down to the tyre wear. So Stormfly in the pits. Where does he come back out? Is Star Group going to get through? Because that's going to mix it up a little bit. So the full running order is Avalon. He's got a half-second penalty, which will allow Kevin to take the lead of this race. He is just over half a second behind him, and coming in with slipstream and with Avalon serving a penalty should take the lead of this race. Fuji now 7.5 seconds back. He will pull into the pits here, and tyres looking ropey, and he's just going onto the grass there as he's struggling to get that WRX turned with no front left tyre. Manxman's got another lap left in that Citroen. Didn't start too well, but has improved since. Time's just starting to drop as the tyre grip is starting to get away from him. But in a straight line, that Citroen's very, very good. But 19.6 seconds is the gap behind Fuji. Jay is just 8.7 seconds back. Low on fuel, he's going to have to pit this lap and get that car in. He's 9 seconds clear of Star Group though. Star Group's on the medium tyres, but fuel-wise, only a couple of laps left of fuel, so he's going to have to come in again. So I think on strategy, Jay might be able to edge this, you know. So that's where Stormfly comes out. He is 3 seconds. Let's call it 4 seconds for the sake of splitting hairs here. It is back to the Aussie Rooster versus Stormfly battle. Stormfly's gone for the hard compound tyres. He clearly feels that one stopping this race and using hard tyres is the best solution. And that might prove to be a brilliant idea. So Manxman in and Fuji is in. These two will go through. As does Star Group. Star Group up into full. So top 3 is Kevin from Avalon from J49. Jay stayed out for another lap and he's run out of fuel. That's going to cost him loads and loads and loads of time. All he had to do was, he should have gone in that last lap. Clearly he thought the tyres would last lap. He wasn't watching the fuel. And Jay is going to tumble through the order. And I feel your pain, buddy, because you were running really, really well. And lap times were looking pretty decent. You had one bad lap, that 154.9. But with a 39.6, that puts him around the same sort of pace as... Grizz Troopers, Manxman. Fuji was a little bit quicker. So that's really unfortunate, So Kevin and Avalon, they finally go into the pits. So strangely, it's going to be Star Group in the lead of this ride. Might not make it actually, a little bit too far back. But Star Group up to 3rd place. Agonising trip back to the pits for old man Jay. Got a long way to go. And feel your pain, buddy, feel your pain. Especially in your charge, trying to get a place or two on that leaderboard before it's all done and dusted. So it's Aussie Rooster up into 4th place. He comes alongside the little Tykes car, and straight in behind goes that car without question. There is Fuji. He's got Grizz Troopers not too far behind, 3.4 seconds. Stormfly goes through up into 4th. He's about to make the move on the Suzuki Swift here into turn 1. Makes it look relatively easy. Side by side they touch, but it is Stormfly that goes ahead. That's the view from behind. The view from behind Aussie Rooster is that. So we go into this little twisty section. This is where the cars have to be so careful with the throttle control, just a little lift to keep it in. He is on the medium tyres. His pit strategy is slightly different. He's going to have to pit again. Stormfly looks to me to be running to the end on the hard compound tyres. If, of course, he can make the fuel last, that's the big question. Because nobody made it to 15. Well, I say nobody made it to 15 minutes. Kevin and Avalon both made it to the halfway mark with the fuel. So he possibly can, but he's got to go beyond that, of course. But at the moment, Stormfly happy just to sit in. He's picked up a half-second penalty. Won't be making any overtake on this lap. So Kevin in the lead from Aussie Rooster, 1.7 seconds. Pit strategy slightly different. Aussie Rooster will be stopping again in this race. And Stormfly running in third. He's got a half-second penalty. He is on a one-stop strategy, so it is likely to be a straight shootout between Kevin and Stormfly. But with Kevin being ahead where he is, it's going to be very difficult for Stormfly to close up that gap. Star Group running in fourth place. He's going to pull into the pits. Avalon is staying up, and he's using as much slipstream as he can possibly get from that little tight car. And he's up into fourth place. We'll see as he goes past him in the pits now. There we go. Avalon in fourth place. Just 3.5 seconds behind Stormfly. And those are the two that are racing. These guys are racing for second and third. It is advantage Avalon right now. He's 3 points ahead. He's going to lose less points when we take away the next worst results. And at the moment, he's got a very, very small loss in terms of finishing just one place back. Fubar, 8.8 seconds in the WRX. Already in a bit of no man's land. I thought him and Manx might have a really, really good battle today. But Manx didn't have a great start. And is struggling now to get back into the mix. But it's 6 seconds back to our American connection there. Grizz Troopers. He's 4.1 seconds ahead of Manxman. And where is Manxman? There is Manxman. And Jay is, he's a lap down because he ran out of fuel. And I really feel your pain. He went one lap too far, drove past the pit entrance and pretty much ran out of fuel after turn one. Now that was either an error or he just wasn't watching the fuel. I think the likely is he was watching the tyres, thought there might be enough fuel. It turns out that there wasn't. But you know, that is racing. I've done it many times, so it puts me in a position to criticise a little bit. Anyone that's interested, Portugal are 1-0 up and the game is about to finish. So yeah, there we go. If you wait until later to watch it, ruined. So Kevin in the lead of this race. It is 5.7 seconds, 5.9 seconds now from Stormfly. So despite his terrible starts, he is demonstrating why he has won this championship. Still hasn't got the fastest lap of the race. That's still with Aussie Rooster. But Aussie Rooster threw that away with a spin from the lead of the race, actually, after he'd made the move on Stormfly. And it's cost him big places here, as he's in the pits now with Grizz Troopers for their second stop. Stormfly is 1.4 seconds ahead of Avalon. He's on hard tyres. Avalon's on the medium tyres and hunting him down. And this is the last thing that Stormfly wants to see in his charge towards second in the championship. 10 seconds back to the WRX of Fubar Philantis 1. Is there a Fubar Philantis 2? That's the question. And who is it? 12.2 seconds is the gap to the Citroen GT of Manxman. Manx, 57, man. 19 seconds he is ahead of Aussie Rooster. That's where he comes out of the pits. He's going to run to the end now on those soft tyres. So is he going to try and improve on that 36.8 qualifying time? Or even still, is he going to close up? I mean, it's a big gap to close up on Manxman. And I think this will cost him any shot he had at the top three, which means it is straight two-way shootout between Avalon and Stormfly now. Star Groot is 3.5 seconds back from Aussie. He will run to the end now on those medium compound tyres. Don't think he's going to be under pressure. He's certainly going to be under pressure from Jay, who ran out of fuel. And bad luck that is, really. Grizz Troopers, 27.1 seconds back. Doesn't look to be lapping at the kind of pace necessary to close up on Star Group. But you never know. You never know. Because, I mean, we're looking at those times and we're looking at what's mid 140s, low to mid 142s. Grizz Troopers. He's done a high 38, 39. He's done it in a low 38 as well. But he's not going to catch him doing that. That puts that in a wall, and that's going to give Jay a little bit of impetus. He is just coming up to be lapped now by Manxman. But that is not down to his pace. His pace has been good. His pace has been really good. It's just down to a pit error. He didn't go into the pits, didn't fuel the car, and finds himself out in 9th position. But there's your race leader and your current champion, the Season 1 GR4 Lottery champion. We're going to have to find a way to sandbag this mofo because he's just crazy fast. 9.1 seconds he is ahead of Stormfly, who is under significant pressure from Avalon. He's got the Dodge Viper, which is great in a straight line, but he's on the hard compound tyres, desperately trying to break the toe. Avalon tucked in behind. He's on the medium compound tyres. And this is where he'll start to see that Viper pull away as soon as that 155 starts to top out. He's doing a little bit of fuel saving there, as you can see, but that's to make sure that he's got some beans to give at the end of this race. He's tucked in behind though, and through this section can really close down on Stormfly. Has Stormfly got anything to do to get him to pull away in this Viper? Because at the moment Avalon has earmarked this. He's been in second place for a while, and he has decided he wants to maintain second place, and that's all that matters to him. And he's trying to make the move around the outside. Does he make it stick? They are side by side. Where is Stormfly? He's there somewhere. There he is. Side by side they are. And Avalon moves up into second place, and it's by Stormfly. And Stormfly, with those hard compound tyres, tucked him back there actually. He will come back at him with the slipstream if he can maintain that gap. But I think it's going to be the same picture again, because out of the corners with the softer compound tyre, Avalon's just going to be a little bit stronger. So this is a blow for Stormfly in his charge, because the gap is going to open up, and there was a bit of a wobble there, and it's now out almost to a second as they come out of the final turn, and on the power goes Avalon, and he's broken the slipstream just with that exit there, broke the slipstream with the power the Alpha 155 has out of the corner, and he's just weaving to make sure that if there is any slipstream going to Stormfly, that he's not getting much benefit from it. So good move from Avalon there. We do see, as I said, we said we'd see the Viper closing, but it's not enough. Avalon can now pull away. We are 5 minutes from the end of this race. We're on lap 16 here at Fuji in Japan. And those of you who know will know that Fuji has staged Formula 1 races before, but there was some problems with Toyota's nepotism and inability to share, and it ultimately, well, first of all, they had to start sharing it with Suzuka, and then ultimately Suzuka just put on a better show, and the FIA awarded the contract solely to Suzuka, and Fuji don't get no Formula 1 no more, and that's what happens when you don't play nice. Stormfly with a penalty, that's going to scupper him even trying to close up on Avalon now. So let's go down the order. Fubar comfortably in fourth, and best of the rest by some way, 16 seconds ahead of Manxman. But if you think about the time Manxman lost when he in lap 1, that actually might probably account for the difference, and I'm sure these two are going to have a bit of a battle. What's saying that? I mean, the times are not great. So Manxman is a car that's great in a straight line and absolutely rubbish around corners. So it's kind of the opposite to the Alpha. So if a mummy Citroen and a daddy Alpha loved each other very much, they can make a wonderful race car. Aussie Rooster, he is in 6th place. Still has the fastest lap at a 1:36.5. He actually improved on his fastest lap on lap 14. So very quick in that Huracan. And in terms of the lap times he's churning out, that is top 3 pace. However, he had a little wobble, and when you wobble and you crash, it does cost you time. He's going to take this to the end of the race on those soft tyres, but I think by the time it comes to the last lap, he's going to be a little bit shaky. Star Group running in 7th place. He is 18.4 seconds back from Aussie Rooster in the little Tykes Tommy Tippy Cup of a car. Big smiley happy face in the front of that car. Don't know what it's got to be happy about. It's a very, very slow. 29.5 seconds ahead of Aussie of Jay. It's good. Sorry. 29 seconds behind Star Group and 44 seconds ahead of J49. Jay, of course, looking very good with pace, but unfortunately just missed the pit stop and had to agonisingly do a 3-minute 14 lap. That's almost double the lap time because he was restricted to 50 miles an hour, or 50 kilometres an hour, having run out of fuel. I think it was miles an hour, 75k. There or thereabouts. There's your leader coming up behind Grizz Troopers right now. 10.3 seconds. Grizz Troopers moves out of the way. Well, not necessarily, leave him really racing anybody, but there we go. He got out of the way though. Nice to get out of the way for him. Grizz Troopers knows that Jay is 47 seconds back, so not huge threat at this stage. Although I'd be very afraid looking at the lap times for race number 2, of course. Avalon, they're running in 2nd place, 10.7 seconds back. But more importantly, he is 6.5 seconds clear of his rival for that that space in 2nd place. 2nd step of the podium for this championship. 6.8 seconds ahead of Stormfly. Stormfly 13 seconds clear of Fubar. So the top 3 in the championship are currently the top 3 on the racetrack. As they stand. Kevin from Avalon from Stormfly. And then we've got Fubar running in 4th place. Good points for him. We'll give him an opportunity to move up the order a little bit. 16.6 seconds ahead of Manxman, who I think, based on the pace, will may find himself in a bit of trouble, actually. If Aussie Rooster can keep his car on the track, he's currently running in 6th place. 3.5 seconds clear. 3.5 seconds behind Manxman is Aussie Rooster. Had he not had his little wobble on lap 3, I think this would have been a different story. So Kevin 77 wins this race, as you would expect. Avalon comes home in 2nd place. Little trademark spin across the line, of course. Stormfly will come home in 3rd. Here he comes. So that's the gap between 2nd and 3rd opened up a little bit. Fubar comes home comfortably in 4th place, unchallenged behind by 16.7 seconds. And in that WRX, good performance from him. Manxman, I was going to say he's under some pressure from Jay. He's not, because Jay will finish this lap, of course. But he is going to be a lap down because of the issue with the fuel. But Manxman crossing the line in 5th place. There he goes in that Citroen GT. Followed by Aussie Rooster, really close that gap down at the end in the Huracan. And the last man to finish will be the Little Tykes car of Stargroot in 7th place, when he finally does get home, of course. And what I will do is I'm going to screenshot that, so I've got the results right there. So I can update the results as we're going along. Well, I'll try. It's not going to be an easy task to do, to stream and talk and do that, but we'll see what we do. So Kevin from Avalon, from Stormfly, from Fubar, from Manxman, Aussie Rooster, Stargroot, Grizz Troopers, and J49. But there's your champion and winner of race number 1. We have got one more race this way round. It's going to be the same format. It's going to be, well, it's not hot lap qualifying anymore, is it? It's the 2-lap qualifying, so 5 minutes of qualifying. So enough time for 1 hot lap, 1 out lap, and 2 hot laps. And then we've got, again, the same grid start with full start check. And then, of course, race 3, which is all change, all switcheroo. The slowest goes in front, the fastest goes behind. Just waiting for the lobby to finish. Don't know why it's taking quite so long to finish. Everyone's home, aren't they? Aussie Rooster takes fastest lap with a 1:36.5. Show me don't get points for that, innit? No points for fastest lap or pole position. I never understood why people get points for opposition. Oh, hi TJ, sorry, I didn't even check chat there. I didn't see you there, mate. Hope you're okay. Missing you out there today, buddy. Don't know how long ago you sent that message to me, but I've only just noticed it. It could have been right at the beginning. So it does seem that we take one step forward and two steps back with Polyphony. I'm not going to say two steps back. It's one step forward and one step back in a different direction with Polyphony Digital at the moment. They've improved the lobbies by putting in services such as qualifying. And the reason they did it is because people were going to question why they could do it quite easily in the World Championships and not on the servers here. But there we go. A bit weird. There we go. So that is that race done and dusted. And we can wait for the next qualifying session. Let me see if I can, how much I can do in terms of updating this. So you have to wait the whole countdown. Well, the countdown is whatever you set it to, isn't it? So the question about the whole countdown is whether it is from when the last person crosses the line. And why do we have to change the lobby in between each race as well? Surely you could just leave the lobby up and start again, can you not? Because if that's the case, then all this fucking 30-minute races is going to be bullshit. You might as well go back to just doing single races if you've got to keep going into the lobby every time. So the countdown it starts when everyone's finished. You just set it for 30 seconds then. But it's not like it was before. That's an easy fix. I'm not worried about that one. This one I'm concerned about is the fact that we seem to have to change the lobby in between each race. You can't just restart a race. That doesn't make any sense. But obviously I haven't tested it, and you guys have, so you guys know what's working and what's not. I should probably do that, but it would involve me caring enough. I do think with some of the changes with new games that are coming out and new formats that are coming out, I think it's going to be. See, I thought you could keep the lobby as well. I know that GT Fusion did it, but that's just the GT Fusion thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just him in terms of his connection, or it's just him in terms of his way of doing things. Right, so there we go. That is race number 1 finished, done and dusted. There'll be a very short break for practice, then qualifying again, and then another race. So we've got a 5-minute break for quali. We'll be back shortly. I know, well looking forward to that, TJ. Well looking forward to it. Shame we couldn't do Spa because of the bug, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, so they didn't in my lobby. They changed it every single time. But I did question it during GT Fusion as well, to be fair. It seems counterproductive to take a lobby that's... you pressed options by mistake. What, instead of... oh, did you... When you say you pressed options by mistake instead of selecting fuel, you mean? That wasn't a very clever idea, was it? To be fair, your pace was pretty good, mate, so you should be alright in race number 2, race number 3, particularly if you're starting out in front. But anyway, back in a sec, everyone's going to go for a fag and a drink, and I'm going to do the same. See you shortly. Welcome back. We are 1 minute from the 5 minute quality. Slight change from the one hot lap, but it is, it's 2 hot laps. Unless, of course, you start late and then it's only 1 hot lap. It's just that you really. But the warning's out there, so everyone knows. Everyone is ready when the time comes. So, I'm going to start updating the table if I can, as much as I can anyway. It'll take me a bit of time to do it, but there we go. Is what it is. Qualifying is about to begin, so let's deal with that. I really can't multitask as much as you'd like to think. So in we go, in for qualifying number 2, race number 2, in the final race of the season here. Here they are on their outlets, and let's see how we get on. I think Jason's going to be a surprise package in this next race. I certainly think in the last race. Just needs to remember to fuel on time. But I think there's a really solid mid-pack finish for Joe. And actually, there's no reason why Jay can't be up there racing with just behind around Manxman, really, if you look at the pace. Aussie's due a good race. He had a really bad coming together with Stormfly. Stormfly got out of it all right, but unfortunately Aussie didn't. Avalon did a very good job of catching up with Stormfly, opening up that gap for second place. It's still available to Stormfly, but now it's an uphill task. Look, let's be fair, it was never in his hands. He did rely on mistakes, but that said, it's even further out of his hands now. He is relying on Avalon having an absolute nightmare, and I can tell you this: that German kind of precision, he's not going to allow that to happen. Surely not. He's been very solid. To be fair, for someone who doesn't like the Alpha and moans about it, or has moaned about it, he does a pretty good job in the Alpha 155. So he is going to set the first hot lap qualifying time. There will be 2 of them because it's a 5-minute quali, which is about right, I think. We know that Wiggy was the only one who didn't set 2 laps last time out, but he will this time because everyone else did. Back before the end of the lap. So here we go. Avalon about to set his first hot lap time. See where he pops out. He's going to want to ideally start ahead of Stormfly, giving less work to do. But we know the straight line speed now, particularly without slipstream, isn't super duper great. But he crossed the line. That's a 1:37.7. We'll see Stormfly. He's got a penalty to serve, so it's not going to be the quickest lap he's ever done. Fubar with a 1:37.6 puts him on pole, and immediately Kevin responds with a 35.668, just 2,000 a second quicker than it would have been number of the beast. So front row is Kevin and Fubar, row 2 Avalon and Aussie Rooster with a 38.0 for him. Is he not going to run a second lap? Manxman 39.9, Grizz Troopers with a 40.4. What's Jay done? He's done a 41.1. We know he's got a lot better than that in the car. Star Group with a 42.2 in the little tykes, and there he goes spinning, and he's just doing the one hot lap with his pretty car. Stormfly with a 36.7. For some reason that's qualified. I think it's the penalty that makes the difference. It's as far as I know, it's been all right. I know I've been told there's a bug with Spa, Phil, that's made it like the problem we have with Goodwood, where people go in the pits and disappear. Apparently, we have that problem with Spa at the moment. But in terms of the qualifying itself, I haven't noticed any problems with the qualifying, and it keeps the qualifying order pretty much on both this screen and the lobby screen now, so you can see what order people are in. You still can't get their representative times in a list like you could on Sport, but we can't have everything. But there we go. At least we've got proper qualifying now, which makes a massive difference. So Kevin is still on pole. Is he going to improve on his time? He does not, but he's on pole with a 35.6. Avalon with a 37.0. That puts him on row number 2. Fubar and Aussie Rooster on row 2. Avalon is on the front row with Kevin, of course. Manxman with a 39.1 does improve slightly with his second hot lap. Stormfly with a 39.2. That's a good lap from him. But he is significantly behind Avalon. So Avalon is sending the message very clearly that you are not having second place in this championship. Whatever you do, my friend, whatever you do. Grizz Troopers 39.5. That's a big improvement. So it's a second lap quicker in the Feather. And Jay does a massive improvement. It's a second lap faster for him, but only good for a 40.2. And Stargroot stuck with his 42. 42.2. Now it is a lot better because now we've got proper qualifying, so we can do things like setting grids, and which allows us to do things like reverse championship grids and all that kind of thing, which improves things immeasurably. So there we go. Qualifying is done. I think everybody to cross. I think the problem is that you need everybody to cross the line. If you just sit there, you haven't crossed the line, so we have to wait for it to time out. That's the only thing now. With the hot lap qualifying, you can't just park up and then move on. You should just be able to start the race straight away, surely. Once the time's up in qualifying, should you not? But yeah, I think we need to wait for the full. So essentially, when we do lobbies now, we need to change the time out time, because it goes from when the last person crosses the line. We need to change that time out time back to sort of 30 seconds, I think. So, ready to go. Race number 2. We know what is expected of everybody here. We know what people need to do. Everyone out there knows what they need to do. Aussie needs to have the drive of his life and hope that... to be fair, the person he's chasing down really is Stormfly. Stormfly sitting in 3rd. The gap is quite a big gap, and I think this race will make it insurmountable. But it's going to need, it's basically going to need Aussie to finish in 1st and Stormfly to finish last, I think, in both races to give him even half a chance of getting in there. But here we go. Race will begin shortly. 7 seconds until the... This is basically the second to last race in this season 1 of GR4 lottery. And what a competition this has been. It's been awesome. Absolutely fantastic from beginning to end. Better than the World Championships. Fuck Fraga and all them lot. This is much better. Actually, I'm better off doing it like this. I'm waiting for the race to start and then jumping in, and then I'll get the view properly. So 3, 4, 5 lights. Wait for those lights to go out, and we are away. And everyone away clean. Who's away quickly? That's the question. Avalon straight up into the lead. Kevin get bogged down with his start. Fubar up into 2nd. So not a great start from Kevin. Better this time though, because he's in 3rd rather than 5th. But still not a good start from him. So Avalon dives off into the lead in the Alpha 155, followed by Fubar Ferlantis in the WRX. Championship winner. I was going to say leader, he's the championship winner. Kevin in 3rd in the Porsche Cayman. Aussie Rooster up into 4th in the Not Diablo Huracan. He is ahead of Stormfly. That's where he wants to be. Not far enough ahead at the moment. And Stormfly looking up the inside in the Dodge Viper. Side by side they go. Stormfly make the move. He does make the move. and he makes it stick. But Ozzy's going to have another go at him. He's not going to let him just do that and get away with it. Ozzy changes his tactics a little bit this time round, though. He decides not to start on the soft compound tyres, and I think that's probably the best choice. Manxman on the medium tyres this time, and can he hang on in there and not have a problem? J49 is ahead of Stargroot. Stargroot is already up past Grizz Troopers, who's 1.3 seconds back in the Feather behind the little tyke. So Stargroot going for the mediums for everybody this time. Bar Fubar has opted for a start on the medium tyres. So Fubar's opted for a different strategy. He is going balls out for it, and he's going to... Avalon does not want to be giving any slipstream to anybody there. Weaving and weaving, but the car's weaving behind, just trying to pick anything up they can down this straight here at Fuji. And it's such a key. It's such a key to a lap time here. And Stormfly making a move on Kevin. He makes that move. He's up into third as they go into turn one. Is the switcheroo on? The switcheroo is on. And Kevin makes that move back up into second place. Fubar loses 2 places there as Kevin one side, Stormfly the other. Stormfly back into second place. So Fubar, despite being on those soft compound tyres, losing out, and this is going to hurt him. It's key, especially if you're on the only one running on the softer compound tyre out of everybody, that you make it work. You get out into the lead and you make that gap. Otherwise, it's a fruitless exercise, and it's going to cost you loads and loads of time, because he's going to come in way before anybody else here, and then it's going to be a big problem. So Avalon in the lead still. It's only 7 tenths. Stormfly just in behind him. He is determined to take this to the wire. Kevin in behind, 4 tenths behind him. But we know that he's happy to play that waiting game. He won't go hell for leather in the first couple of laps. He'll just find his pace and trickle round that track. Fubar under some pressure from the on-rushing Aussie Rooster in the Huracan, who is determined to make up for the mistake he made in race number 1 and pick up some juicy points for himself. Very, very wide there from Avalon. Really exploiting the track limits, and Stormfly tucked in behind. Is there a move on here? Let's have a look from the back of Avalon's car, just how this move is panning out. And look how the Viper closes up, and then with that straight line speed, just breezes through into the lead of this race. And they're both on the medium tyres. They're going to be on similar strategies, although the tyres seem to last a lot longer for the Alpha than they do on the Viper. And Kevin looking to make the same move himself now, as we watch him round the outside. Is he looking for a switcheroo? Doesn't do it this time, stays tucked in behind. This is really, really top quality racing from these two. And loving that he's using that really, really cool team livery, to be fair. But Fubar still stuck in behind there. This is a bit of a battle going on actually for the top 5, all very, very close together. Half a second separating every single car. Really, really cool battle going on there. On board from Aussie Rooster, that's what you can see up ahead. He's hoping that just 1 or 2 or all 5 of them get into a little scuffle and he can breeze on through in that Huracan. And I think that's what it's going to take, because the pace out front is frenetic. Very, very difficult to keep up with. And he does look quicker though into these corners than Fubar, despite Fubar being on the soft compound tyre. And Fubar is the big loser in this battle here, because he's going to be the first one to have to peel off into the pit lane. And look at the snake, look, weaving across this. I mean, you could go 4, maybe even 5 cars wide down this straight, but they're all tucked in single file like a human centipede of GR4 cars, just without the just without the gore and the poo. And into turn 1, changing down the gears, and that's a Huracan. Then we go back to the best of the rest of the moment. Here's Jay. He is past Manxman, he's past Grizz Troopers, and he's past Stargroot. Stargroot's clearly had a problem. He's going very, very slowly. What's going on there? Is he having a problem with his wheel? It looks like he might be having a technical failure. Or is he waiting for Grizz? Did they ever come in together? Or maybe they're coming together and he's waiting for Grizz Troopers to get back through. So very, very sporting of him there. I actually thought he'd had a wheel problem because he wasn't moving. but he's clearly coming together with Grid Troopers and allowed him through. So Stargrid's going to struggle to make top 5 with the performance here, but it's always going to be difficult on a track with a straight this long. So Manxman is 7th. He is 3.4 seconds behind Jay. And I said that if Jay gets this dialed in and gets this right, he could be having a good solid finish here. And he's just got to remember to pit. Well, and put fuel in when he does. That's the key. And I think he could finish in 5th or 6th there, depending on the strategy ahead. If he one-stops this race, I think Aussie Rooster could be in a little bit of trouble, because he's a two-stopper strategy fella. But he's about to make a move on Fubar. Can he make the move stick? That's the big question. That's the view behind Aussie Rooster, tucked in under the wing of that WRX. But Fubar just seems to have a little bit of impetus at the high range in that WRX, and just pulls away towards the braking zone at the end. It could be that Aussie is looking after his fuel and tyres a little bit for a push later on, but that move not happening. There's the current leader, Stormfly. He is now ahead of Avalon, half a second ahead of Avalon. That'll be the straight line speed of that Viper is just ridiculous, and that's what's making the difference here. But Avalon's sticking with him. The gap to Kevin's 1.2 seconds. Don't count him out. 1.2 seconds in Kevin's world is nothing. That's the blink of an eye. That is the shake of a cock. That much difference, and he's already cut it down to 8/10. This is still all to play for these top 3. And with respect to everybody else out there, I can't see past these 4 top 3 in all 3 of these races today. You know, we know how quick Kevin is. Kevin's always quick, and he always turns in performance. We know that Stormfly is also very quick. And when he doesn't make his little errors, he can absolutely challenge the best of them. And Avalon has been very, very solid today. Very switched on, very focused. And he knows that his job today wasn't to win the championship. It was just to not let Stormfly overtake him for a second. So these 3 are the top 3 in the championship and the top 3 on the racetrack. Stormfly with the fastest lap with a 37.1, which is a very, very quick racing lap. He's leading this race at the moment. Can't see these cars closing on him, just purely because of how much difference in straight line speed he has. And we come into turn 1. Kevin just buying this time. He's looking up the inside there. He knows the move's not on. He just tucks in behind again. But this is a great shot. You can see the top 5 still are really getting involved with each other. And we love it when the racing's like this close. This is how it should be all the time. Dropping down, let's have a look at the back. So Stargroup is 1.2 seconds back. He and Grid Troopers clearly are coming together. He pulled over to let Grid Troopers through. Grid Troopers has obliged and opened up the gap to 1.6 seconds now. Manxman 12 seconds clear of those 2. That's quite a gap to make up. Manx is 5 seconds behind old man J49, currently running in 6th place. He's 10 seconds off that battle for the top 5, but starting to pull himself a little bit of a gap on his own in that midfield. And that's what he needs to do. Just keep it steady, keep it in there. He's gone sub 40 twice, so we know that he's got the capabilities to do it, even in under race pace. So that's just quicker than his qualifying time. So here we go. Can Jay? But this is the thing. The question is now: can Jay do anything on Fubar or Aussie? Because those 2 are not going to be in that top 3 fight, I don't think. Aussie is ahead of Fubar now, despite Fubar being on the soft tyres. Fubar will come into the pits now, actually. But that strategy did not work very well for Fubar there. He really needed to get out ahead, or at least be charging off with one other in the distance. So that's going to cost him some time, and he's well out of sync with the rest of the pit stops. Can he turn this into a one-stop strategy? I don't think he can. I think that might put him firmly into the clutches of Manxman and Jay if they one-stop this race. But your leader there, he's not managing to pull away. Still half a second difference between Stormfly and Avalon. And we know why. It's because the Alpha can really keep up with him through these tricky twisty turn sections. Yes, the Viper does have the straight line speed, does pull away on the straight, but it can't maintain it throughout the full lap. And those tyres are going to go off before those do. That's the other problem, is the Viper is very abrasive. So lap 8 is going to be pit window time. Then Stormfly will come in, and we know that Avalon and Kevin will both stay out and one stop this race. So Stormfly with a lot of work to do. And this is why we do need to change the format somewhat for the GR4 lottery. But we're going to come up with a plan for that in the long term. Season 2 will have it'll be similar, but a different format. So we can see there, let's see how strong the slipstream is, and then when they hit the top end, look how well that Viper pulls away. It's like a rocket. Even Mr. Tesla, Elon Musk, would be proud. Get back to Kevin, 1.8 seconds. So he's quite happy to just look after his fuel and tyres a little bit and sit there in third. He knows that, he doesn't have to win this race. He knows he's already won the championship. And that whatever he does, he's going to walk away from here with the gold. Not there isn't any gold, there's no gold at all. Don't be fooled into thinking I'm giving out any gold. I'm not, there is none. You get the kudos. You get the kudos of saying, I win. And I think we'll find a little decal we can make, you can stick on your car to say Champione. Aussie Rooster running in 4th place. 3.6 seconds behind that battle. 19 seconds ahead of Jay. I think he's going for the 2-stopper this time. He went for a different strategy first time out. Went a little bit wrong for him. Excuse me, went a little bit wrong for him when he got a little bit squirrely. He got on the grass and couldn't keep control of the Lambo. And found himself spinning off into oblivion and almost taking Stormfly with him. There is Jay. The gap, actually, Manxman's really closed that gap down. 1.5 seconds is the gap. And did Jay have a bad lap here? It looks to me like he must have done, because the times for the laps before seem okay. So Jay must have had a problem here and lost a bit of consistency. And that gap is right down, 1.1 seconds now. Can Jay just keep... To be fair, I think the power of the AMG is comparable with the power of the GT Citroen, and will keep him ahead. Now, he has got one more lap left in it, but it is just one more lap. And that was a full, so he lost 4 seconds that lap, which has allowed Manxman just to close up on him. He needs to stay ahead here when they go into the pits. But Manxman with so much more fuel, been so much more fuel efficient. So he's going to be able to come out ahead just by virtue of not having to put as much fuel in. Grizz Troopers in, Star Groot in, Fubar has been in, he's back out. He is going for a 1-stopper. He's going to try and run to the end on those hard compound tyres. Brave choice, I would say. Very brave. It's whether, it's whether or not the fuel holds out. That's the big question. Little drinky booze. So we saw the culmination of GT Fusion on Saturday. Really good stream. That really enjoyed it. Really good race. Do check it out if you get an opportunity to. But what you do need to check out this Saturday is we are back to the Mind Endurance event. We are raising money for a very worthy cause, and that is for the charity Mind. It is in aid of the 1 in 15 people who will, throughout their lifetime, attempt suicide. And we're trying to do something, just a little something, to prevent that. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to have some races. We did our first race. It was in the Group 1 cars at Circuit de la Sarthe for the Le Mans 24-hour. We are moving on. We were going to move to the 24-hour of Spa-Francorchamps, but because there is a bug in the lobby at the moment, we are going to move straight to Australia for the Bathurst 24-hour. It's not 24 hours, of course, it's just 3 hours of racing here, but we do emulate those 24 hours. And Kevin makes the move up into the lead of this race, past Avalon, and Stormfly's obviously gone into the pits, which is why these two are out in front. So Kevin now turns it on and takes the lead of this race from Avalon. Grizz Trooper's just moving out of the way. Avalon coming through, Kevin coming through, and this is a lap 10 of what will be an 18-lap race. It was 18 last time, wasn't it, or was it 19? 18, I think it was last time. Fastest man on the racetrack has been Avalon with a 1:37.1. He did that on lap 6. That was a very, very good lap, to be fair, on medium tyres as well. I think you could quite easily go very low 36s, even in the Alpha around here. And they will both peel off into the pits, and that will send Grizz Troopers now. Just Grizz Troopers flying into the lead. Ignore the number 9 there. It should be 1. It's a lovely one. No, of course it's not. 54 seconds is the gap back to Stormfly. Now, if he did 9 laps and it's an 18-lap race, he can go to the end on those medium compound tyres. He was on the hards last time, trying to take the hards to the end, and he just couldn't maintain the pace. Now, the problem is going to be, I think, he's just too far back from the runners of Avalon and Kevin. Ironically, he used to be called Avalon Kevin. Just really weird. But Stormfly will come through. I think third place is the best he can hope for here. Aussie Rooster, he's been in. He's back out 4.7 seconds back from that battle. Although Stormfly is, or is he not? Where is Stormfly? That's the question. Stormfly is ahead of Avalon. It's only 0.8 of a second. Kevin 4.2 seconds clear. So his little fuel saving antics have really helped him out. He hasn't fueled fully, but he knows he can go to the end of the race without doing so. Avalon a little bit more fuel on board, and it's cost him a little bit of time. Aussie Rooster running in 4th. He's 4.2 seconds back. Can he pull himself into this fight? Or is he just pulling away now from Fubar enough to secure himself a place just outside that top 3? This is where I expected to see him in and amongst it last time out. But as you know, he had that little spin and it caused him problemos. 3.9 seconds is the gap to Fubar Finlantis, who has gone for different strategy. This time, hard compound tyres. His fastest lap was a 38.0, and that's the problem with the hard compound tyres, is it doesn't give you the same kind of grip. But I think he is aiming to kind of consolidate what he's got in 5th place here and finish ahead of Manxman. Manxman is on fresh medium compound tyres, 15.2 seconds ahead of Stargroot. Stargroot also on the medium compound tyres, running to the end. There is Jay. He's on fresh tyres as well, looking pretty darn racy though. Now he's got 1.7 seconds to make up on Stargroot. I think he'll make that and take that position. The question is, can he make up the 15 seconds on Manxman? Manxman is lapping in a steady mid to low 141s. There's a couple of anomalies in there, but as he puts in a 39.9, of course. But average lap is low 41, low to mid 41s. Jay is doing, well, he had a 201 and a 220. Did he run out of fuel again? That's the question. Did he push it a little bit too far again and run out of fuel? Because it seems to have cost him more time than you would expect. So a little bit more fuel saving maybe. But closer, at least he was closer this time, I think. But yeah, so he's lapping in the high 39s, low 40s. There's only 8 laps left, so it's not really enough time to close that up on Manx. But, you know, there's always an error in it. But his first target, of course, is going to be this man here, Stargroot Senior. Wiggy, as he is well known. Where we go? I want the correct view. That's the one. I want that view there. So there is the view of the back of the Tommy Tippy Cup of a car, the little car that could. And there is J49 trying to close that down. Really looking for any opportunity. And if you go wide there, I think that's going to be a penalty. Surely that's going to be a penalty for him. Big abuse of track limits. But if you get away with it, you get away with it. So here comes Jay. He's going to have some great slipstream on this car. And the Swift, despite its name, is not in a straight line. Jay just doesn't need to worry about making the overtake here, because he knows when he comes out of this corner that 3/10 will be 2/10, then it will be 1/10, then he'll pull out and into turn one he will go. But watch here, this is where we'll start to see that speed differential. Jay will pull out now and they'll go side by side, and through goes the AMG Mercedes ahead of Stargroot up into 7th place. Does he hold the line? Well, Stargroot, great move to take that place back on turn one. So Jay will have to go again. Got done under braking. Just overshot it a little bit with the extra speed he was carrying from the slipstream. So he's got to go again. But I think he'll get him. I think he will get him. He won't catch Manxman now because he is pulling away. But out in front, Kevin is 3.8 seconds clear of Stormfly. Stormfly is 2.7 ahead of Avalon. So that 1:36.8 from Stormfly, what a phenomenal lap that was to get him in second place and open up a little bit of a gap. So this battle is still raging between these two. Not determined to give it up until the very, very last, which is exactly what you would expect from anybody that is racing. Avalon's last lap, very, very similar times. 3/10 slower. It's nothing in it really, but 3/10 might as well be 3 seconds when you are already almost that behind and you've only got 4 laps remaining. So if you're only just catching up with us now, it is the Black Flag GR4 lottery. This is the finale, round number 10 at the Fuji short track, or the Fuji missing a chicane track, as I'm going to refer to it from now on. Right at the beginning we had 15 GR4 cars. We handed them out with gay abandon, and some people like their cars, some people didn't. Those that didn't put them in a bin got a new car at the midway point. Some got better cars, some got worse, but for better or worse, they are the cars that they rolled, and that's what they've got to contend with. Kevin is the champion. He had that secured, to be fair, in week 1. No, I'm joking. A couple of weeks ago he had that secured. It was mathematically still possible for him to lose it last week, but not this week, not in the slightest. He is now guaranteed champion. Stormfly currently second on the racetrack, third in the championship. Got some points to make up on Avalon, which he's not going to do, while Avalon is third on the racetrack and second in the championship. The gap just not going to be closing good enough. Best of the rest at the moment, Aussie Rooster in the Huracan, 3.8 seconds back, and just put in the fastest lap of the race with a 36.7. Running to the end of this race on the medium tyres, so the one-stop strategy much better for him this time. Didn't have a great race, number one. He was on the soft tyres, he was challenging for the lead, and then it all went horribly wrong when he took the lead, went on the grass and lost the back of his car to a wibbly-wobbly. Almost taking Stormfly on a little trip into the barrier with him. But Stormfly managed to dig himself out and finish third. 21 seconds. 21 seconds. To Fuwa Felantis in the WRX. He is running very comfortably there at the moment. It's not super lap times, he's on the hard tyres, so he is losing a bit of time lap after lap to Manxman. He's currently lapping in the low 142s on those hard compound tyres. Manxman is in the low to mid 40s. So still possible, there's 3 laps remaining and the gap is only 4.6 seconds. Manxman could be challenging for 5th place before the end of this race in that Citroen GT. And he, new to the group, of course, he joined us in this race last week, put in a good performance, considering. And here we go then. So it is 25 seconds back to Jay. He is ahead of Grid Troopers. He is ahead of Stargroup. Stargroup had to go in the pits again. It looked like he was going to try and run it to the end of the race, but that Suzuki Swift is a little bit rubbish. It's great if it's racing other Suzuki Swifts, but this car has no business being in the GR4 class. It's not a GR4 car. Even with BOP, it is still slow as shit and an absolute ridiculous car. PD, sort your shit out and think about what category this car should be in. You give us a Cosworth, but you didn't even give us a racing Cosworth, which I was a little bit disappointed about that. I was kind of hoping we'd get don't get me wrong, I like having the road Cosworth, but wouldn't it be great to have a GR4 Cosworth as well? Because you can easily tune it to GR4 level, but of course you can't race it with GR4s unless you turn tuning on. If you turn tuning on, you might as well give yourself an alpha and tune that mofo up. Leader of the race, 5.7 seconds clear he is now, and just to prove a point, 36.5 as the fastest lap. Which livery we missed? Yeah, it will be. So we'll have to do a Suzuki Swift only championship just to get that livery back, I think. Yeah, so 5.7 seconds clear is the championship winner. Stormfly is not having it all his own way. He was 6.66 ahead of Avalon, 0.666 ahead of Avalon. That gap is closing and then opening back up again when we get to the end of the straight. Avalon is starting to ramp it up. We are on lap 17 of what will be an 18 lap race here at Fuji. And the first thing we're looking for is this big overtake from Avalon. He's got to have a go, surely. Just if not just to say the 1-2-3 is the 1-2-3 and there's nothing you can do about it. And I think if he does finish ahead of Stormfly this time, it doesn't matter what Stormfly does in race number 3, he ain't catching him. Unless of course Avalon crashes out and I don't know, his internet connection throws him out before race number 1. But then if that happens, we're all in his lobby, so no one's racing. Aussie Rooster is the best of the rest, 10.1 seconds outside that top 3. Much better race from him. The first race did not go his way at all. I'll tell you what though, I'm really looking forward to the reverse grid here, because those out in front are going to be the slower cars and they're going to give you some great slipstream. So actually the ones you need to watch out for are going to be Aussie, Fubar, Manxman, those midfield runners, Jay even, who have got some okay pace. I think Aussie's definitely a good outside bet for race number 3, because his pace is there or thereabouts, but he's going to be ahead of all of those faster guys, and he's going to have lots of lovely slipstream from the slower cars in front of him. Watch this space, I tell you, as we start lap number 18 of 18 here at Fuji. And loving the background, to be fair. Really, really cool. There is Stargroup in the Tommy Tippy car, the little tight Suzuki Swift. And this is the second to last time we're going to see this car racing on any racetrack, because I can't imagine convincing 15 people to race these for an 8-race season. We couldn't even get them to race little individual cars for a 6-race season, so how are we going to do it for them? But there we go. Grid Troopers, 6.7 seconds ahead. Now he's lapping around the 42, low 42s. He has on a 40.0. Stargroup is in the 39s now. So I think it's only the fact that he has to keep pitting in this stupid car that his pace isn't actually that bad, but he just has to pit more than everybody else. J49 is 7.8 seconds. It looks like he had another fueling issue. So he's 27 seconds behind Manxman. So that's something he's going to have to look at in race number 3. Maybe, and obviously driving like that as well doesn't really help. 3 hours in that Suzuki Swift. I don't think anyone would ever play this game again, TJ. I think they would literally delete it from their hard drive and never play it again. So there's your winner, Kevin from Stormfly from Avalon. Aussie Rooster will come home in 3rd place, of course. Screenshot those results. Fubar Philantis will come home in 5th place eventually. Manxman did close the gap a little bit, but not enough. And to be fair, the fuel giving out on him did cause him to slow up that pace somewhat at the end of that race. But a good race from him. In 6th place behind Fubar. Good race for Fubar. Really, Fubar's come in, and to be fair, he's been just outside the pace of the top guys. So Manx comes in 6th. Jay will come home in 7th place. 30 seconds behind Manx in the end. But definitely cost him fuel wise. I think that's I think the only problem with this AMG. I think the tyres are fine. I think it's just struggling a little bit to make that fuel last a one stopper. Don't know what the answer is. Maybe the answer is fuel saving a little bit early. I don't know. I'm not driving it, so I couldn't tell you. Goods Troopers will come home in 9th, and Star Group a lap behind in 9th place, essentially. So it was 19 laps for front runners and 18 for Star Group. So there were your runners and riders for race number 2. We will have a short break in between this race. Then lost my ability to speak then. We will be back with one more 5-minute qualifying session. And off the back of that, we will have slowest first grid. And that's when you separate the men from the boys. You're going to have some fast guys trying to come through. You're going to have some slower guys defending their lines. And it's going to be shit or bust for the top 5, or for everyone in this tournament. So we'll find out where everyone lies. I am going to use as much of this break as possible to start updating the scores. But we've got a long way here for the race to finish, haven't we? Because it's set to 180, I think. So we will be back very shortly. So we are back with qualifying. However, I'm going to very quickly show you where the current league table sits. So hold the line corner while I just bring it up and put it on the screen for you live. It's taking a monumental effort of presence to do this, but let's go. We still obviously have one round left to go. And Aussie still has a round to drop. It could be this round depending on how he performs, because it will be obviously his lowest round, so we'll wait and see. So there we go, so that is the new lineup. That is where we currently sit in terms of the championship. So Kevin obviously is the champion without question, doesn't change a thing. Aussie still has a round to drop. He cannot, I repeat, cannot get himself in the top three now. As it stands, Avalon is 15 points clear of Stormfly. If Stormfly wins this race, then Avalon has to finish last in order for Stormfly to nick second. So all Avalon's got to do is not finish last. That's it. And the top three will remain as it is. Wiggy, unfortunately, going to miss out on top five. Fubar, if he finishes first and Wiggy finishes last, he steals the top spot, but he still has one to drop as well. Actually, so there is still a few points to drop there for Fubar, and Wiggy's still got to drop a few. So we'll wait and see how this pans out before we make any firm decision on the end of this particular race. So there we go. So we're qualifying for the final race of this season. It is going to be a rolling start, slowest first for this race. So there's always a little bit of jeopardy in that. I mean, one, you've got the jeopardy of only doing a couple of laps of qualifying, which isn't too bad. I mean, 2 laps is 2 laps. But the biggest jeopardy is trying to fight your way through the field and make sure that you get a decent lap or two. So we know that Kevin's won it. We know that Avalon is guaranteed second, unless he finishes last and Stormfly finishes first. That's what we know. We know that Aussie still has to drop around and cannot make the top three. We know TJ's not going to improve because he is not racing. We know that Wiggy has a round yet to drop, but it could possibly be this round. We don't know yet. Fubar has a dropped round, which was a 0 round anyway. If he finishes in first and Wiggy finishes in last, he will nick 6th place in this championship. Manx cannot jump on the sausages, but he has only raced in 3 races, so it doesn't really make a blow difference. It would be unfair of me to drop. It would be unfair of me to drop 2 of his 3 races. So where are we in terms of current lap times? Who is got what? So Stormfly currently fastest man 1:36.5. So that's what he needs to do. He needs to win this race. However, the man he needs to finish last is right with him. So they are together on the racetrack. So it'll be Stormfly at the back. Avalon will be ahead of him. So he's got to overtake him and then overtake several other cars. Fubar will be in front of them currently. Aussie in front of him. Grizz Troopers will be in front of him. That's a good lap from him. Kevin's got to put another lap in. Sandbagging! He's quicker than that, we know he is. J49, he will be, I imagine it will be either, and I think we've lost Wiggy from this. Wiggy will come back for race number 3. It doesn't look like he has. Either that or he's just not checked in yet. But maybe he knows he's going to start from in front of the grid, so he's going to check it after qualifying's done, just because of qualifying times. So, Manxman, it looks like, well, we'll find out if we've got the 8 or the 9 very, very shortly. But at the moment, Manxman is the slowest and therefore the pole sitter. Jay is the second slowest and therefore will join him on the front row. It's very strange actually, because if you look at where some people are dropping out, you have to wonder if there has been a bit of sandbagging going on for that first lap. Certainly shouldn't be. These guys should certainly know better. But you know, we can do reverse grids now, so we don't have to worry about this kind of format. We don't have to do it on Trust anymore. We can just do reverse grids. So Stormfly from Avalon from Fubar doesn't improve his time. Aussie Rooster, slight improvement on his time. Kevin sticks himself up between Stormfly and Avalon. That's the last thing Stormfly needs, knowing that he needs to win, and Avalon needs to be last. Manx doesn't improve hugely, but does knock himself up a place. Grizz Troopers, though, well, lap from him, 38.9. The irony of doing that on the lap when you're slowest first is not lost on me. Usually you would expect it to be Jay and Grizz at the front for this. Oh no, actually me at the front when I'm racing, and then these guys alongside. But there we go. It is what it is. So we will move on. That's the qualifying done and dusted. Don't know if Wiggy is coming. If he is, then he will be in the front of all of them. Being the slowest first, of course. But we've got the championship table worked out, I think, there or thereabouts. So we know what everyone needs to do. I'm going to save that again. So that is qualifying done and dusted. There is your order. We have lost Wiggy from this race. Didn't come back. He couldn't change his position in the championship. I can see why he has disappeared for the last race. And to be fair, it is running pretty darn late already. So just waiting for the race to start. This will be the final race of the GR4, and then I'll get on with finishing the championship table for everybody. How about that? So everyone is lined up on the grid. It is Jay from Manx from Grizz, from Aussie Rooster, Fubar, Avalon, Kevin, Stormfly, and for some reason me. So there we go. We are rolling and we are away. And here we go. We're on board with Jay. We don't want to be on board with Jay. Nothing against him. We want to be here. So Jay leads everybody out in the AMG Mercedes. Oh, bollocks. Wrong button, sorry guys. I'm sorry for the swearing as well. So there's Jay out in the lead of Manxman. He is just under a second clear already of Manxman in that GT. Aussie Rooster is in third. That's some movement up the order from Aussie Rooster. Grizz Troopers already dropping down the order. Fubar challenging him from behind. Stormfly knows what he's got to do. He knows that the only way he's still second is to win this race. He can't focus on it. And we say that Avalon's got to be last. Avalon was very briefly last. However, with only 8 of the 9 runners, that's not necessarily the case anymore. It is a slightly different scenario because 8 points is enough. 8th place is enough for 10 points. So they will be level on points, and we will have to work out how to decide who finishes where. And we haven't got a contingency for that yet. And absolutely going all horribly wrong for Avalon, trying to barge his way through. Kevin off the racetrack, Avalon off the racetrack. This is going horribly wrong all way round. Now, if Avalon finishes in this position and Stormfly finishes in first, we have a tie for second place. Believe it or not, we have a tie for second place. And I'm going to have to go back through every previous result and work out a way to decide how we do it. Or, worst case scenario, we award 2 second places and we have no third on the podium. How's about that then? But at the moment, Avalon is ahead of Kevin. That's enough. That's enough for Avalon to win this championship. In fact, while it stays like this, unless Stormfly's in the lead of this race, nothing will change. It will be all about Kevin in the lead of the championship. Will win it outright, and Avalon will be second. So as it stands right now, Avalon is the runner-up in this GR4 Lottery Championship. Jay is out in the lead, and he is, at the moment, holding them at bay, but Stormfly is on a charge. He knows what he needs to do. He's done the maths already. He sat there, and I guarantee you, he sat and looked at that table and worked out every connotation, and he knows where he needs to finish. This will finish them on equal points. He's currently 15 points behind. If he wins this race, that is 25 points. Avalon, at the moment running in 6th, will win that battle between those two. Avalon needs to finish in 8th place or lower, and there is no lower because Wiggy is no longer with us. So Wiggy has essentially handed the championship to Avalon on a plate like that. Here you go, buddy. So Stormfly in the lead of this race now. He is ahead of Jay. Can Jay make a move from behind here? Jay's in a really good position, to be fair. And what he needs to do, he needs to make that fuel last. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know what he needs to do, whether he needs to take an extra stop, whether he needs to just allow some of these faster cars to go through. I don't know what the answer is, but he's got to make this fuel last, and this will be a good race for him. He's got decent pace. He's not going to make the move on Stormfly, though. Stormfly is going to disappear off up the road. So there is Jay running in 2nd place. Aussie Rooster up to 3rd. He is looking to consolidate his position in 4th in this championship. Good final push from him, but not quite. There was a couple of races where he just wasn't on the pace, and it's cost him a chance at that top 3. Fubar came in late. Excuse me, excitement's made me coffee. Fubar came in late, but I'll tell you what, he's done a really good job in that WRX and would be there or thereabouts had it not been for starting so late in the championship. Manxman has dropped down. He's just ahead of Avalon. Avalon's got a penalty, but he is charging down on the back of that Citroen and looking to make a move here as we go into the slightly changed section of the short course where they take out one little piece of racetrack. And it's literally a smidgen. It's a couple of yards of racetrack. Cheap to call it short, really. I suppose if you've got two people standing next to each other, one's 6 foot, one's 5 foot 11, you are going to say one is the short of the other, but it's not the point. So Avalon gets a decent run. He's going to serve a penalty, though. That's the problem there. And that GT is very quick in a straight line. Kevin's ahead of Grizz Troopers. And there he goes. He's just going to breeze past Avalon. But at the moment, Avalon is safe. As long as he stays ahead of Grizz Troopers, Avalon will remain in 2nd place in this championship. But I'll tell you what, talk about take it to the wire. Absolutely close. And Stormfly must be thinking, I wonder if he knows. I wonder if he actually knows that what the scenario is here. Has he done the maths? Has he worked out what he needs to do, or is he kind of hedging his bets and thinking, do you know what, if I win this and Avalon's significantly behind me, I can probably nick it? And it may well be the case that he doesn't know exactly what he needs to do, but at the moment he's doing what he does need to do is win the race. So he's doing that at the moment, and he's doing it by 4.8 seconds. Aussie Rooster has now got past Jay, 1.4 seconds ahead of him, to be fair. And I think everybody's running the medium tyres. I don't know who's on the soft tyres, aren't they? Grizz Troopers is on the soft tyres, but he's not going to look after them, putting it on that bit of the racetrack. He's 3.2 behind Avalon, who is safely just by the skin of his teeth retaining 2nd in the championship. But there is Stormfly, 5.3 seconds ahead of Aussie Rooster. Aussie Rooster going to finish with a flourish, or is he going to fall back like he did in race number 1? Jay holding on very well. We're on lap 4. He's holding on well, but look at the train behind him. This is the view from the back of Jay's car, and it's not a pretty sight. There's Kevin, and here he comes. There's Manx. Is he going to come as well? There's Avalon. There's nothing Jay can do to stop him. He's got to look after his fuel, because he knows that in order to make it a one-stop here, he's got to look after the fuel. And at the moment, it's just not giving him the pace that he needs. He's been well. I mean, he did a 39.6, which is not a bad lap for him. And there's a spin! And that's disaster. Disaster for Jay. I really thought he would put in a good shift this race. But that's a disaster coming out of turn 1 there. Just lost control of the car, and he's now 4.5 seconds behind Gridge Troopers. So all of that pressure from behind, very telling, and it puts him in a really difficult position. And you've got to feel for him. He was buggered in race 1 with the fuel. Race 2 didn't go too much better. Race 3 was great until lap 3 essentially. So Stormfly in the lead, 6.3 seconds clear of Aussie Rooster. Stormfly knows he needs to win the race to stand a chance. Avalon knows he just needs to stay near Stormfly to stop him. Aussie Rooster running in second. Kevin is now up into the top 3. We knew these quick guys would make it through, just didn't know how long it would take. Well, there's your answer. It took 5 laps. The only anomaly in there at the moment still is Aussie Rooster, but I said he would be a really good outside bet with a reverse grid type scenario, is because he's got decent pace in there. The problem is can he hold off the charge of Kevin? Can he hold off the charge of Avalon? And more importantly, can he hold off the charge of Fubar? Fubar was very quick in race 1 and 2, finished ahead of him. So he will ideally want to finish ahead of Fubar in this race just to prove a point. But at the moment, he is holding off well in second place. So Stormfly is your leader. 7.3 seconds is his lead. Now, how big a lead does he need to build up to ensure that he comes out of the pits in the lead of this race to go to the end? Well, the question is that the answer is I don't think 7.2 seconds is enough. We know how quick Kevin is. We know how far into the race he can take this car. And he's already challenging Aussie Rooster side by side. Aussie's going to have the inside line here. Switcheroo for Kevin? No, he just holds off. He's going to wait. He's going to bide his time. And he knows there's going to be an opportunity in the slipstream in that Diablo. Really need to stop smoking tonight. It's getting awful, this cough. So Stormfly is in the lead, 7.9 seconds. Kevin is now in second. He's got past Aussie Rooster. Is this where Aussie Rooster goes backwards, or can he hold them off? Avalon chasing back in 4th place. This is the view behind. He's not got any slipstream this time out. Certainly not anything significant that's going to help him close up on the Not Diablo. And certainly not with a straight line speed coming into turn 1, as we can see. As they cross the start-finish line, that's when the drop-off starts. By the time they reach the Panasonic sign, the drop-off is huge in terms of straight line speed. But the braking zone, the good thing about being slower coming into the braking zone is you get to brake later, which means you get to get on the power earlier. And this is where Avalon can start to close up the gap on Aussie Rooster. And that is exactly what he is trying to do. He wants to finish all 3 races in the top 3 here, just to consolidate his position. Gridge Troopers in the pits. He's done his soft tyre stint already. Jay is 7 seconds clear of him. Couldn't hold off that mass charge from the quicker cars behind him. His lap times have been really good, but that one bad lap cost him 13 seconds, and that would put him about there in the racetrack, to be fair. So the pace out front has just been frenetic, fast-paced, and on it. And Kevin makes a mistake. That puts him back in 4th. Does that put him in 5th? Yes, it does. What about Manx? Where is Manx? Manx is also through. So Kevin dropped way down the order. Love to know how he managed to bin it there. So Kevin bins it on lap 7 after putting in a 37.0 as a fastest lap. And he's got a little bit of damage to contend with as he comes in to the fastest part of the racetrack. This will cost him dearly, dearly, dearly. And he was pushing. And now he's in a bit of trouble. It just goes to show, when you're not in full control of the race and you've got some work to do, that's when mistakes can happen. And even the greatest of drivers out there, and in comparison to us, he's one of the greats. He spun it, but he's only lost 10 seconds, really. So, well, we'll see, actually. We'll see how much he loses on this lap, because he would have lost some straight line speed at the beginning of this lap as well. So we can put together what he lost there, which was 10 seconds, and whatever the difference is on this lap as well, which will give us the net loss for the race, of course. But that 8-second lead is looking a lot tidier now because Kevin is 17 seconds back. They're both going to pit one stop, but they're going to do it at different times. Aussie Rooster comfortably in second at the moment. How comfortable though, because that gap from Avalon is smaller. Avalon hunting him down. He knows top 3 is enough, especially now with Kevin out of the mix. This gives Aussie a chance to nick a top 3 here and put some lovely points on the board. Last knock-ins. Fubar Philantis, there he is in 4th place. He's 4.3 seconds back from Avalon. Comfortably in 4th. He was comfortably in 4th in round number 1 and race number 1 and race number 2. Is he going to be comfortably in 4th again? But this time with Aussie in front of him. That's got to be his target. He knows he beat Aussie twice already. So there is potentially a top 3 on the horizon for him if Kevin can't close up this gap. There's Manxman, and he's right up behind Kevin. And in a straight line, that Citroen's very quick. Does he make a move into turn 1? He's coming alongside. They're coming up to turn 1. He's not going to be afraid of him. He's going to try and make the move. Why would you not? And into the braking zone. Manxman just tries to be a little bit later on the brakes. Just overshoots it. Kevin retains 5th place. So, but, you know, that little battle will have cost them a little bit of time. Jay is 51 seconds ahead of Grizz Troopers. Grizz Troopers has been in the pits, of course. Jay is trying to hang it out one more lap. One more lap is all he needs to take this to the end of the race. And he's on lap 9 now. We'll say that it's 19 that race, but not necessarily for those guys in the back. It might only be 18 for those guys in the back. So can he make that fuel last 2 laps? If he can do that, and he can make those tyres last 2 laps, then he's guaranteed guaranteed to finish ahead of Grizz Troopers. But obviously no wiggy for the last of these races. So Stormfly, 5.1 seconds is the gap now. He's just had to slow up the pace. He was doing 37s, mid to low 37s. Dropped out to 38. This last lap was a 41.4. This one's going to be even slower when he comes in the pit. So actually, it cost a lot of time there. Aussie Rooster, will he follow him in or will he stay out? Avalon tucked well in behind Aussie. Aussie staying out on tyres that look ropey as shit. I'll tell you what, he's going to have murders keeping that Huracan ahead of Avalon. I'll tell you, stat for nothing. That's some free advice for you. You should have freaking pit. But Avalon's going to have a go at him, and now he's into the section where the Alpha is strongest, and he will pressure. And I'll tell you what, when your tyres look like that, and you've got that kind of pressure behind you, it's so easy to bin it. You've got to be on the mark. And Avalon already making a move up the inside. Aussie struggling with the grip, and Avalon up into the lead. This is exactly where he wants to be. He knows when he's here, Stormfly can catch him. Aussie Rooster does get back up into first very briefly in the quick section, but he'll see. Well, he's going to pull off into the pits anyway. If he survives that long, of course. He's got a couple more corners to survive with these ropey tyres. Avalon's not going to be too bothered. Avalon's going to come in at the same time. He's going to put on fresh tyres. He's going to put on fresh fuel. Now, this is where we have to look at everybody else. Manxman, he will have to come in. Those tyres are shot. Stormfly's been in. 50 seconds is the gap. He will most likely come out in the lead of this race when everybody else goes in. But how far ahead? He had a poor lap on lap 8. Lap 9 was obviously an in lap, but it was a slow in lap. That's the problem. Kevin is the fastest man on the racetrack. He's done a 37.0. He is 58 seconds back. He's pit early. He's decided to go in a little bit earlier than everybody else to see if he can use that to his advantage. So he went in on lap 9. Let's see where everybody comes through. So here is Stormfly. He's coming round turn 13 right now into turn 14. Would normally be 15, 16, of course, if they left the chicane in. But here he goes. He's on the stroke. Big wobble. Almost a tank slapper there from that Viper. But he holds it well. Now there he is. He's coming down towards the pit lane. Avalon is in the pits. Man is in the pits. Manx Man is in the pits. And Aussie Rooster in the pits. Stormfly will come through. We can't see where those other cars are. We can't see when they're coming out. So he goes through. Stormfly and Aussie Rooster. Aussie Rooster out ahead of Avalon. So he does manage to stay ahead, but he has been very, very brave with his fuel. Absolutely very brave with his fuel. And I think he might have been too brave. I think you've been too brave with your fuel. I'm calling it right now. Too brave with the fuel. Avalon running in third place. He is 4.8 seconds behind Aussie Rooster. He hasn't been brave with the fuel. He has been sensible. He has got enough fuel to push. Manx Man, he's been in the pits as well. He's running in fourth place now, ahead of Fubar. So this is a good position for him to be in. But we know Fubar has got some very, very good pace. And he pit on lap 10. Lap 9 with everybody else. Manx pit on lap 10. So Manx has just come out. And that is not how you stay ahead. Fubar will go through. Manx with the tank slapper. Kevin will move through as well. Is he going to make a move on both of them? And Manx with another spin off to the other side. So really struggling there. So Manx Man drops down to 6th place. Kevin goes through. Fubar is behind him. He's going to get a bit of slipstream. How much slipstream is he going to get? That's the question. Not a lot, because Kevin was very, very quick through that section. He's going to be getting the tiniest little bit of draft, and it's nothing to write home about. 1.2 seconds behind, there is nothing there for him. No more draft for you. You've been cut off like a drunkard in a London pub. You've been cut off. Stormfly's lead is 1.7 seconds. Remember, at one stage it was 7. That's 7 clearly not enough. Aussie Rooster sticking with him. 4.6 seconds the gap back to Avalon. 3.6 the gap back to Kevin. This is the challenge for the champion. Can the champion close down that 10.1 second gap in these final 10 minutes? These final 8 laps. That's all that's left. Was it still 7 laps? Well, lap 19, so 7 laps. 7 laps he's got to close down 10 seconds. He's already brought it down to 9.5 seconds. It's Stormfly 1.5 ahead of Aussie Rooster. 4.8 ahead of Avalon. 3.2 he is ahead of Kevin, the man on the charge, the current champion, on it like a car bonnet he is. Fubar in 5th. Aussie Rooster is the outlier in that top 3. The Stormfly, Avalon and Kevin won't want to see him in there. That's been their domain all day long. Kevin will not want to finish outside this top 3. He will be fuming. And I'll tell you what, tomorrow when he's marching, he's going to be marching hard. Sorry, man. Manx Man, 4.1 seconds behind Fubar. He is desperately looking to prove a point and to get that GT past Fubar. The problem has been with that GT all day long is that in a straight line, it's one of the quickest cars out there, but just isn't that good around corners. Grizz Troopers is ahead of Jay. 16 seconds behind Manx Man, of course. His fastest lap was 1:38.7, so he can put in a blistering lap in that Fezzer. But Jay just not finding the pace. I think the fundamental problem here has been just the fuel consumption on this AMG. He's had good pace in the AMG, without question, but the fuel consumption's not quite right. Yellow flag, who's that for? Who has crashed? Somebody's crashed. The question is who? It was Grizz Troopers. Grizz Troopers is at a standstill and Jay goes through. So, all change at the rear of the pack. And out goes Jay into the 7th place ahead of Grizz Troopers. So Stormfly in the lead, the gap is 3.1 seconds. Starting to open up the gap now from Aussie Rooster, who is holding firm. That's a 1:38.7 for him. That's his fastest lap of the race. And that keeps him ahead of Avalon, who hasn't matched his fastest lap so far, which was a 38.1. 38.5 for him. Yes, it was quicker than Aussie's quickest lap, but it's still some significant work to do. And his next problem isn't the car in front. It's this guy. It's the car behind. And from his mirror, this is what he sees from the back of his car. He sees that. That is the charge of the champion. He is on it. Wants this top 3. He will not finish this championship as the champion outside the top 3. Or so he thinks. He's got a lot of work to do yet. 1.4 seconds is the gap to Avalon. Can he? Can he win it from here? Personally, I'm going to say no. I think that's 7. What is it? So it's going to be 9 seconds. 9 seconds is the gap. I think that's a lot to do in the last 4 laps there. Bearing in mind the pace is all very similar. Low 37s for Kevin. Low 38s for Avalon. So yes, Kevin might catch him. But Avalon's not going to be too worried because he knows that second place is his now. He will. I question whether Stormfly did the maths. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I guarantee you that Avalon did. Avalon has done the math every single round, without question. But at the moment, Kevin's struggling to close that gap with any significance. Aussie Rooster, he's not closing the gap on Stormfly. If anything, he is drifting back towards Avalon, and that will be something Avalon will love to see. Because if Avalon can put a car between him and Kevin, it makes it all the harder. Good Troopers in the pits again. He did under fuel last time out. He's going to go for more fuel. So that will give Jay a massive, massive gap. 33 seconds is the current gap. That will open right out to about 4 days. So Jay will, at least Jay will offer some consistency out there on the other racetrack at the side. Max Man, he is 30 seconds ahead of Jay. 5.4 seconds is the gap to Fubar. Fubar last lap 39.4. Max Man last lap 39.1. I think it's just a little bit too much, but he'll be desperately trying. And it only takes, as we sort of whacked to Kevin, it only takes one mistake, and then everything changes. 6.4 seconds is the gap between Fubar and Kevin, the championship winner. His gap to Avalon is 1.5 seconds, and Avalon's just done the fastest lap of the race with a 1:36.5. So he has responded to the charge of the Light Brigade from the Greek soldier behind him. It's almost like he is actually being chased down by a real soldier. He is disappearing off. He is chasing Aussie Rooster. The gap is down to under a second. This is the view from Aussie Rooster's back wing. That's what he sees. And this is being chased down now, being closed down. And you've got to feel for Aussie. He's done. Apart from the little slip in race number 1, he hasn't done much wrong in this race. He's kind of just got on with the job. But the pace out front has been so incredibly fast. And I tell you what, anyone that's been driving these cars for these 10 rounds are going to miss these cars a little bit, surely. Surely they're going to miss them a little bit. Even the ones that moaned about their cars. It's Avalon making the move. Does he make it stick? He doesn't. He's tucked in behind. But I think he's happy for the slipstream. Does he make a move this time? Side by side they go. There's the move. Avalon up into the second place. He's ahead of Aussie Rooster. He has created that cushion, that all-important cushion between him and Kevin. So now Kevin's challenge is to get past Aussie and into the top 3. I think Aussie's starting to struggle a little bit with his pace, this tail end of the race. We're on lap 16 here. There'll be 19 laps of balls out racing here, and that'll be the end of season 1. And I can't believe we're at the end of season 1 already, man. Gutted. I just want this season to go on forever. I think there's some people in certain cars will be glad it's over. I think Wiggy will be one of them, most certainly. There's a few others who have just not come back that's unhappy with their cars. So hopefully we can change that in season 2 and give everybody relatively competitive cars, albeit spun on a wheel. And whether we do that with a wheel spin every race or whether we do it with one spin at the beginning and then that's the car. So Aussie Rooster has got 2 laps to hold off the charge of Kevin. Kevin's going to desperately try and get in that top 3. On balance, does Aussie deserve it? He probably does. But, you know, get what you deserve in this world, you get what you earn. And right now he is in 3rd place, but has he earned it? He's got 2 laps to find out whether he's earned it. There's your race leader, Stormfly, doing everything required of him to try and steal 2nd from Avalon. But it's not going to happen when Avalon is sitting just 5.4 seconds behind him. Now, in terms of tyre wear, we know that this Viper runs out of tyres before anyone else does. Is this going to be a problem for Stormfly with 2 laps remaining? There is... no, that's not Avalon, that's just inside of Stormfly's car. There is Avalon. He has got Aussie behind him. He's 5 seconds behind Stormfly right now. Lap time's looking very, very good. Tyres looking very, very good. Kevin makes his way into the top 3. And I tell you what, a few laps ago, who would have thought it? Well, I would. To be fair, I thought he was going to win this race at one stage, even from back there. But not now. I don't think he's got the pace, but not enough time to make that pace count. Is Aussie going to come back at him with the slipstream? That's the question. He's going to be right tucked in there in that slipstream. I still don't... is Kevin capable of catching Avalon? Absolutely he is. Without question he's capable of doing it. But I don't think Avalon's going to let that happen today. I think Avalon is going to do the job required of him. He's going to keep Kevin at bay and be a good result for Avalon and for Stormfly. But Aussie's in that slipstream on the Cayman, and it is pretty quick in a straight line. That's not Diablo, the not Gallardo, the beautiful Hurricanes. He does make the move into turn 1. So Kevin's going to have to make the move all over again. Under braking round the outside. Does he make the move? Goes for the little switcheroo. Doesn't make it work that time. So Kevin's got to make the overtake again. Little wobble at the back of that Cayman. But he keeps it on the road. So he's got to make the overtake again. Now, how long can Aussie hold him off? He's got him held off for this lap. And this actually, I think, is going to be the last lap of the race. Are they going to make it home? They're not. It's only going to be 18 laps here. So the difference in the pace... at the moment, it's a Stormfly 5.2 seconds clear. He's going to win this race unless something very, very drastic happens in the next few corners. Avalon there running in 2nd. He's going to stay 2nd unless something very drastic happens in the next few corners. Aussie Rooster desperately holding Kevin off. Is there enough petrol in that tank for Aussie though to hold him off? He's got 3 more big corners, and then he's going to have the Cayman of Kevin in that slipstream bearing down on him. This could go to the line. So here is Stormfly going to win this race. We've got to watch this battle. We can't not watch this battle. Kevin making the move. Does he make the move here? He makes the move into the final corner. But does that give up some space? No, it doesn't. Aussie is ahead. Kevin's in the slipstream. He makes the move side by side up into the lead. Aussie's run out of petrol. Aussie's run out of fuel at the very last. The Stormfly wins from Avalon, from Kevin, just inside that top 3. Aussie runs out of fuel at the very end of the race. What an epic fight that was. Fubar comes home again, this time in 5th, because Aussie just ahead of him in that big battle out in front. So Fubar in 5th place. Manxman comes home in 6th. Jay will come home in 7th, and Gris Troopers will bring up the rear, and not in a dodgy way. He will bring up the rear into 8th place. So what a finish there from Stormfly, Avalon, Kevin and Aussie. Really was, I mean, that last lap between Aussie and Kevin, the last couple of laps actually was absolutely awesome. But I am going to start working, I think, on the table, shall I? I think that's an important thing to do. Let's get on with it. So we can put it up here before we go. Wrong button. Trying to rush, see, that's the problem. So we've got Stormfly won this race from Avalon. Gris Troopers will get home eventually. 3rd place, just nicking it out. The last there was Kevin. Great result from him to do that. Bearing in mind he had He had a big dodgy move off the racetrack early doors, and it cost him loads and loads of time. FeR comes over in 5th place, of course. I'm sort of trying to do this and talk at the same time. Manx comes home in 6th. Jay comes home in 7th. Grizz Troopers in 8th place. So this is how it changes the points. That is so it's another 20 points for Kevin. That puts him on 70 points. Yeah, it does. Hang on. Going to mute you for a minute while I do all the workings out here. Back in a sec. Right, that is the quickest I think I've ever done the league table, but normally I don't have the information right in front of me. But there we go, that was your winner, Stormfly. Did everything he could to try and close down into the final second position of the race. So here we go, the final standings for the Group 4 lottery after this race here at Fuji Speedway is as follows. So Kevin, of course, is the champion on 70 points that he gets for that round. That's 589 points for him. Actually, he should drop a different round because he dropped an extra couple of points there. So he should be on 591. I did make the mistake of dropping a 72-point round. No, I haven't dropped. Yeah. So it should be 591 points. Ignore me there. But he's a winner either way. Avalon does maintain second place, 495 points. Good runner-up position for him. Stormfly finishes in that Viper. Good solid finish in the Viper towards the end of the season. And I'll tell you what, if he had raced in race number 7, I think he might have had a few more points on the board. 483 points for him in third. Aussie in the Huracan didn't have enough towards the end there. He finishes on 442, I think it is. 402, I think it is. Because he drops that 42-point round there. So yeah, I haven't done it properly. I'll have to fix it properly in a minute. TJ finishes in 5th place. FeR finishes just behind him in 6th. Wiggy in 7th, drops that last round. He didn't do the last race, so he only picked up 20 points. PM10 finishes in 8th place, despite only racing the first half of the season. So actually, that was a really, really good first half of the season for him. He did 5 of the 10 races. GMAC in the M4, he finishes in 9th place. Yellow Sausages is behind him in 10th. Manx, despite only coming in for 3 races, some good finishing for him, finishing in 11th place. That's a really good finish from him. Grizz finishes in 12th. Phil in the F-Type dropped out after about the midway point, didn't change his car, probably should have done. 73 points for him. Jay in the AMG finishes in 14th place. And then it's Nick, who only raced a couple. Bandit, who literally raced 2 races. BM Racing, who raced just the 1. And Cool Runners, who raced just a couple, finishing in 18th. So there is the final lineup, essentially. Kevin wins it from Avalon, from Stormfly. They are your top 3. Aussie just missing out by a few points. But what a competition that was. So that is season 1 of the GR4 lottery is over. It's done. It's dusted. It's an X tournament. Thank you everyone for being involved in this. And all that's left to say really is that I've been Urban Pirate. This has been Black Flag Racing TV. Coming up tomorrow, we've got the Late Night Racing League Season 6. Hey, it's really loud. Turn it down a little bit. Turn it down a little bit. Late Night Racing League Season 6 comes up round 5 in Japan. Suzuka, that's going to be another good one. I mean, the sprint race last week, that was a really, really good race. And we're back to the normal format, 18-minute qualifying, followed by 25% race and then the 50% race. And then Wednesday, we are back to the Open GR3. Thank you for joining me this evening. I will catch up with you very soon. See you tomorrow. It's been emotional.